And good Sunday morning. Welcome to Invest Northwest. I'm Sean Owsley, the first Invest Northwest of 2015. Glad you're starting your day with us. And here with us this morning is Susan Meyer, the CEO of STA, and good to see you.
Thank you for inviting me.
I know you guys have been knee-deep in planning for 2015 and beyond. I thought it would be a great time to have you here on the program and talk about all the things that you're looking at, because there are a lot of moving parts when it comes to STA. First of all, where are you at right now as far as a business model? What do you think you need to do going forward?
Well, it's interesting that you would say going forward, because the planning effort we've been underway with for the last 2.5 years is called Moving Forward.
Right.
And it is a plan that our board of directors, 9 elected officials and a labor representative, approved 2 weeks ago. And it has attached to it the need for additional revenue. So demand has been dramatic. We haven't added an ounce of service since 2005, and ridership went up 45%. But we need additional revenue to sustain that service, and then an additional increment for more and better transit throughout the region. Everything on the list has been asked for by a group or an individual, or we started with 100 or more projects and whittled them down, prioritized 28 of them.
Susan, the Moving Forward plan is a long-term plan.
10 years.
And you've had a number of town halls, if you will, or
Yes.
where people can come in. And what has been the input that you've received? What are the concerns? What are people worried about? What do they like?
Well, we were surprised at how favorable people were about the plan in general. And I don't mean we were surprised because they're really good projects, but the enthusiasm and support for the projects is really widespread. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to talk about a tax increase, mm-hmm. but we did some surveying, and it indicates, although a survey is just one input, that people are supportive of the plan and a way to fund it.
How much are we talking?
0.3 of a cent increase in local sales tax. So that's an additional 3 cents on a $10 purchase.
From a Spokesman Review article in December, it says the goal of the plan is twofold: sustain existing service levels and prepare the public transportation needs identified by our community when additional revenue is available. That's a quote from you.
Right.
Outline those two prongs of this project.
So maintaining service is something that we have to do, and the driving need for that is the replacement of our vehicles. Buses last 15 years. We do 2 transmissions and an engine rebuild in 15 years, but they do have to be replaced, and that is a $85 million requirement between 2016 and 2026. Mm-hmm. You may remember that we reduced and restructured service in 2010 and 11, and that was in response, obviously, to the recession. We restructured our employee benefits, we tightened our belt, we saved $3.5 million the first year, but we knew that we would not be indefinitely sustainable because of the loss of sales tax, which represents 70% of our funding. And so, for context, our sales tax revenue this year is the same as it was in 2007. So that ditch of 8 years is money that will be foregone, and it's a result of the recession and people spending less.
Let me just play devil's advocate. Let me say, okay, I don't want to pay another cent in tax. What happens going forward, and lobby for, make your case right now for the Moving Forward plan? I
actually am not able to make a case for it because the board has made a resolution to place it on the ballot. All I can do now is public education.
Informing people.
Informing people. So what I can tell you is that additional revenue is required to sustain really great service. We had our highest ridership year in 2014 mm-hmm. since 1953. And we haven't put any new service on the road since 2005. So the demand for transit is significant. And the population is projected to grow by 2040, another 165,000 people, and 65,000 new jobs. So the demand now is great, and the demand in the future looks to be great as well. The new work, the new 28 projects were identified and and prioritized by folks. And we're a regional transit provider, so Spokane Valley and Cheney and Medical Lake and Spokane County, I'm not going to list all of them, but we went everywhere and heard from lots of folks. And so the desire is there for transit. It's a voter decision.
In the Spokesman Review, there was an article in the Spokesman Review on December 14th. It said since 2008, STA ridership has hovered right around 11 million, up from the 20-year plateau of 7 million rides that preceded it. And you believe the frequency of buses on some routes was increased, ridership would spike. Do you believe that?
Do I believe that new service will grow?
Would cause ridership to grow.
We're projecting about a 30% increase in ridership as a result of the additional service in the plan.
Okay.
Over 10 years.
And how critical is it? What is the feedback that you receive for the people that have STA as part of their daily transportation, their daily lives?
Well, we heard from a lot of them who came to our board meetings and testified about the importance that transit plays in their lives. And it, you know, the story of transit isn't about transit, it's about how it helps people live their life. So it gets them to work, it gets them to volunteer opportunities, it gets them to church. And remember, it's not just bus service, it's also paratransit service for people whose disabilities prevent them from using the bus, and van pool. So it is heartwarming. One of the people who came and testified 2 weeks ago got teary-eyed talking about what the bus service meant to her when she was in college. We're also hearing from a lot of people in the millennial generation who are getting their driver's, many fewer of them are getting driver's licenses at 16 than any decade previously. And I'm sure there are a number of reasons for that, but folks in that age category tend to prefer, we are told by the research that's been done, prefer staying connected, that is by phone or a smartphone, over owning a car, because they can stay connected while somebody else is driving their vehicle. And they like to bus and walk and bicycle, and so we know the demand is there, and folks in that age category, as well as others, came and talked to the board.
I'm curious, I would imagine as the leader of STA, in any successful entity, you look at, you evaluate what you're doing, and you always look at those things that we can do this better, or this is a goal. What are your goals?
Well, the people who love us and the people who are critics of us have the same message. You need more service. You need to operate later at night, you need to go to more places, you need to be more frequent. And so that's what we're hearing. That's what we've long been hearing. And so the improvements in this plan are what you would expect in improving basic service, adding a commuter route, putting in service to more places, adding frequency, and then there are two projects that we call high performance transit projects. One is an already amazingly high ridership route, and that is to Cheney and EWU. 4,000 rides a day, 20% of the person trips on Highway 904. And then the Central City Line, which is a project that has been in the planning for since 2009, has had lots of support, and it's founded in the desire in this community for a streetcar. So in 1999, there was a streetcar in the downtown plan. In 2005, a group financed a study about a streetcar feasibility, and then in the update of the downtown plan, there was a streetcar or a circulator, and so we started looking at how we could have the right-sized project in Spokane that would be as much like a streetcar as we could get. And we looked at a streetcar with rail in the ground and overhead wires. Very expensive, way out of reach for Spokane. And so what we chose, through lots of community input, was a bus that looks like a train, that provides really frequent service, boarding all doors when they open. You don't have to stop at the fare box. Street and streetscape improvements. So it goes from Browne's Addition through downtown into the University District, up into Gonzaga's campus, and they're very excited. Dr. McCullough said, could you build this sooner rather than later? Because I have a whole cohort of students, 4 years, that are not going to see this if you don't hurry it up. And then east to SEC, a total of about 6 miles.
Wow, a lot happening. Well, Susan, we are out of time. I appreciate you being my guest here on Invest Northwest once again, and happy 2015 to you.
Thanks, and to you as well.
All right, thank you for being here. We're going to take a break. You're watching Invest Northwest. We're back in a minute.